Good afternoon. Happy Savage Saturday, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here, and we're here on what just happens to be free comic book day for 2024. All right, and this is episode 154 of Savage Saturday. So we're going to get right into it, and of course you can see them in the background. We have a couple copies here of Conan, Battle of the Black Stone, the free comic book day book, and I got one from my LCS as well, which I am very fortunate to get because they only ended up getting 2 copies, even though he ordered way more. So I don't know if there was some kind of shortage on some of the free comic book day books. But luckily, being known as a Conan guy and having a regular pull list there, I had this one for me. So I'm glad to have it. But I didn't want to take a chance. So way back, and I'll put the graphic up here, on January 28th, I had ordered these 2 copies I have right there off of eBay. So if you're looking for a comic book that you know is coming out on free comic book day and you're not sure if your LCS will have it or if their shipment will be correct, always go online and you can always order these ahead. As you can see from the graphic, I didn't pay much. It was $5.98 for both copies plus shipping. That was $5.98 combined. So I was able to make sure that I was going to have the books that I wanted, and I didn't wait and just hoped that by the time I showed up at my comic shop that there would be books there for me. So sometimes with these promotional items, it doesn't pay to do a little bit of homework and order ahead just to make sure you have your copies. Did I get them for free? No, but it was worth it to me to have them. All right. Again, for $5.98 for 2 copies, not a bad deal for me. And I could rest easy knowing that I had them secured and I was going to have them to read. And, you know, it's worth it, right? Just to secure the books that you want for yourself. But let's get into the review. So, of course, Conan, Battle of the Black Stone. And, of course, this has been setting up through all the issues so far. And we're going to get right into this. So, when we open the page, I'm not going to read this because we all know it, especially if you're a Conan fan, in the Medium Chronicles. But I will have the graphic up here if anybody wants to pause it and read it. That way it's available for those who may not be familiar with Conan the Barbarian and it might be their first experience with it. We also have a map, and you can read where Conan is in a little blurb and find it on the map, and you know his location. So he's over here in Aquilonia on the edge near the Pictish Wilds. Oh, and I'm already going to knock over Conan here. We're going to start our story up. And it says, legends can be forged in unlikely places. This legend begins in the sun-dappled plains of Texas in a remote district known as Lost Knob. A writer named James Allison, a blank page, and a reflection of the possibilities found within. A word, a name, spills forth from the locked chambers in his mind, and with it, a terror made manifest. So a little ominous beginning, and you can see the writer, James Allison, there, and then you can see something foreboding coming into view as he's sitting down to write. So we turn the page, and it says, across the ages, unbeknownst to all, a war has begun. And then you see in the big print, Battle of the Black Stone. Jim Zub is the writer, John T. Jonas Sharf as the artist, and it says Prelude, the Staring Sigil. All right, and it says Conan the Barbarian, and it has the rest of the thing. Jumpin' Jow Canola as the color artist, Rascally Rich Starkings as the letterer, Calamitous Chris Butera as the editor, and Merciless Matt Murray as a contributing editor. And you have a battle scene with Pix and Conan, and Conan saying, flee or face the blade. So we get a great spread, 2-page opening shot of the Prelude story. So, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And as we turn the page, says the Hyborian Age. It says, Guadalajara is a new Aquilonian province annexed from the land of the Picts. Its border fiercely contested. Its defenders, a battle-hardened group of Aquilonian soldiers and scouts, lodged at Fort Tusculum. Fiercest among them, Conan of Samaria. And then you see Conan throwing a sword, and it goes into a guy's chest, and he goes, and he's fallen dead. And Conan's screaming, taste steel, mongrel, and he has an axe in his other hand. It says, the Sumerian has endured dozens, nay, hundreds of battles by this point in his illustrious career. the fight is as natural as breathing for the barbarian. And you see Conan just slaying more pigs on the battlefield, and then he's like, hey, and he turns his head to look and says, and yet, some threats can still impress. And you see this guy come on, who's absolutely huge. He's like 4 people, and he's just spouting gibberish. And the company that's with Conan saying, fall back, he's as big as a tree. And then you hear from behind him, trees can be cut. So, already starting this new story with a battle. Conan on the battlefield, giving as good as he's getting, and better. Then as we turn the page, and Conan's saying, and my axe stands ready. And the guy starts charging Conan, this big brute of a person, and Conan's ready. He's got the big axe where it says, the children of Crom are known for their strength, with skin like stone. And you just get a close-up in one panel of the dude he's fighting his eye, and it just goes wide. And you see the next description is, but Conan is fast as well. You see him jumping over the great mace of this warrior. He goes, with a pounce like a panther, and his weapon is ever hungry. And you see Conan landing on the guy's shoulders and driving the hilt of his axe into the guy's chest, and then pulling out. And then you just see leaves as the guy tumbles. And it says, after the battle, the Aquilonian forces take stock of the dead. What do we make of it, Conan? Asked one of the soldiers. And as the guy continues talking to Conan, he says, pigs surging forth, frothing with rage like I've never seen before. To which Conan replies, true enough, we've kept back and haven't engaged them in weeks. Why attack now with such suicidal fury? Maybe they were motivated by this murderous mammoth. If he was one of ours, we'd certainly be inspired to push the front and stir up some blood, eh? Why, I'd wager he's Crom's devil, Conan exclaims as he looks down at the fallen soldier, the fallen behemoth. And again, just really, the coloring in this issue is amazing. And also, really do like the lettering as well. So give shout outs to some of the people that don't get normal shout outs, colorists, letters. And on the next page it says, on the giant's barrel broad chest, a primitive medallion etched with an equally primitive mark, a sign, a sigil. And then Conan is all of a sudden disturbed, and he's got his hands on his head, and he's like grunting in pain. It says, fresh yet horrifically familiar. And then the guy that was talking to Conan says, Conan, were you injured, man? And Conan still recovers, like, Urgh. And he goes, it shakes the barbarian to his very core. It breaks down barriers his mind set long ago. Dark memories. The pig scout who fought by his side against an army of the dead before losing her life. And they're talking about Brissa here. It says, the reaper's face neath cursed waters. The specters unleashed in Shadowzar. Possession, decay, destruction. All of it sent by that searing eye. An eye carved in black stone. It says, events as seen in Conan the Barbarian, issues 1 through 8, which are spectacular reads. And if you're all a Conan fan or at all curious, you should definitely pick up those issues. So here we go. So Conan's just having flashbacks of everything that happened in issues 1 through 8 in his mind, that he's just being assaulted with ever since he came in contact with this black stone. As we turn the page, it says, he's not the only one to see the sign, the sigil. As we get a closer and closer shot of the mark in different eras, it says, it's cast as seen in presence felt across time and space. And we see a figure with a hat and a staff, the Juju staff, who we know, if you're Howard fans, as Solomon Kane, who's happened across a corpse in a grave with a sigil on him. And then we see an animal skin with a sigil on it in a different time. And we can see that it's Dark Agnes de Chastelon. And then it says both their names on the bottom. And then we go to the next page and it says the symbol, the mark. And we see it in 2 other places. A baleful presence as we see El Borak looking at it. A promise of power as we see Professor John Carowin looking at it. So as you can tell, this tale's already going to span time. And we're going to get some of these incredible characters. I'm really excited for more Solomon Kane. Really excited for Dark Agnes. For those of you who have never read her, just one of the darker characters and one of the fiercest fighters in Robert E. Howard's stable of characters. Just absolutely brutal beginning and just amazing story. All right. And as we turn the page, we see a shot of a little village, and then we see someone walking up. We see a foot that is dislodged, like an old wooden leg, and it's just sitting in a window somewhere. It was thrown through the window, and we see Brissa hooded, pulling the hood back, and says, "A story yet to be told." And it says, "An epic adventure begins in Savage Sword of Conan, issue 4, and Conan, Battle of the Black Stone, issue 1. And then we get the full page ad for it, Conan, Battle of the Black Stone, new event starting this fall. So there we go. And this is great news, at least for me. Brissa is a fantastic character. Obviously, we knew she survived. If they don't show a character die on the page or on the screen in movies, you know they're probably not dead. And Brissa is just a great creation of Jim Zub and Company's. You know they needed someone to replace the Red Sonja in this universe, and they created Brissa. And Brissa is just a breath of fresh air, a fantastic addition to the Conan mythos, and can't wait to see more stories with her. But this event is going to be great, so get on your previews, order that. And then on the next page, we have Across the Howardverse. And I'm just going to read just a real quick thing. It says, "Each man on earth, each woman, is a part in all of a similar caravan of shapes and beings, but they cannot remember. Their minds cannot bridge the brief, awful gulfs of blackness which lie between those unstable shapes, in which the spirit, soul, or ego, in spanning, shakes off its fleshy mask. I remember." We got James Allison, Valley of the Worm. And if those of you who have never read Valley of the Worm, great story with James Allison mentally traveling back in time to when he was another character, and I'm not going to spoil anything, and did battle unto death with this giant worm. But fantastic. And so there that is. And I'll put that graphic up here too in case you want to read the article. And I like to share these because some people don't have availability for free comic book day. Some people can't get these issues regardless of how available they may be. There's some regions people live in where they can't get them, or it's too expensive to get them, or they're just not available. And so why not share it so people that don't have access to it do have access to it, right? At least they can see it in some form. And then we get a 2-page spread here of some art, which is amazing. And then, of course, just an ad for Savage Sword of Conan on the back. But that is Conan, Battle of the Black Stone, free comic book day prelude to Battle of the Black Stone. All right, and just a fantastic start, certainly intriguing, and just to see all those characters being drawn in makes me really anticipate the coming of this story, the crossovers, the other properties that Titan Comics has as seen in here. You know, it's great, the stable of characters that they have from Robert E. Howard, and I can't wait to see them integrated into the universes and the Robert E. Howard universe and just used. And if they use them with the same respect and love that they have with Conan, I think we're in good shape, in good hands for the future of these characters in stories from Titan Comics. But that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for coming along on this ride, and hopefully you guys are able to pick up all the books you want for Free Comic Book Day. And until next time, thank you for watching, and keep it casual.